Bible characters, particularly Jesus, or through specific words or promises that we can remember in times of challenge or doubt?
Here are some of those passages shared by the people in the diocese, together with examples of how they have encouraged new or developing ministries.
As I consider my calling in healing and pastoral care, there are two Bible passages that have spoken strongly to me. Firstly, in Micah in the Old Testament, in chapter 6, Micah asks God what he requires, and God replies, to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with God. And the second passage is when Jesus was asked which was the most important commandment, and he said to love God with all your heart and soul and mind, and the second is to love your neighbour as yourself.
Some years ago I spent some time in Honduras working with street children and living in an orphanage called the Micah House. And in Micah chapter 6 verses 8 we are told to live justly, to love constantly, and to live humbly. And those words are particularly important. I came home from Honduras feeling that's something I'm going to try and live out in my life, and I feel God sent me there, and God is very much part of helping me to actually do that.
My go-to phrase is found in Matthew 25 verse 34 to 40. Whatever you've done to the least of these, you've done it to me.
There's a story in the Bible where Jesus helped people that had diseases, and I really want to help people that have dementia because it's showing compassion and respect to people.
The story of Jeremiah has always been particularly appropriate for me, I think. I was ordained when I was 22, which struck me as very young, even for me, though I was keen to get on. And I remember thinking, am I too young for this? And then I read the story of Jeremiah, who had exactly the same thought. And God said to him, go, and I will give you the words to say.
I've recently been reading a book by Francine Rivers, who's written about Tamar based on Genesis. It's been a really inspiring story for me to read, because you just see that no matter what life has thrown in Tamar's direction, she remains faithful to God's calling on her life and lives in obedience and love for him, and God just blesses her abundantly for that.
If there is a person in the Bible that inspires me, then it has to be Moses. He heard the call of God, but initially he asked God to send someone else because he didn't feel that he could articulate God's message very well. But he did go, and he did great things.
There are so many stories of calling in the Bible that have inspired me in my dream. One of them, the story of Moses. This is because when Moses was called by God, he thought he couldn't do it. And God encouraged him and gave him confidence by showing him signs. And one of the signs being the burning bush. When I had my dream, I thought I couldn't do it. And God encouraged me and gave me confidence by putting people around me that prayed for me and also showing me some signs. And one of the signs being courage, for with God, all things are possible.
We reached the stage where we were sure that God had said to move to Taunton. I started looking for jobs and reasons to move us across the country, until I was reminded of Abraham. God didn't give him any explanations or assurances of how. He just said, go. And I don't think that it was an accident, that it was the very day when we decided that we would follow his call and go regardless, that I stumbled upon the advert for my role.
God calls everyone everywhere.
There are many things in the Bible that have inspired people's response to God. Some may be influenced by the same passage as another person, but respond in a very different way.
How might the Bible help you to experience a more confident sense of calling?